Texas Tech football had a $10 million transfer portal coup this season. So the question is, can they buy a Big 12 title? Now, Max Olson wrote an incredible article about this over at ESPN. Let's talk about the game plan, right? They had a $10 million transfer splurge, did the Red Raiders. The original budget was $5 million for transfers. That's already a big number for NIL spending. In reality, they doubled down, right? Spent over $10 million. They landed 17 impact transfers. So why did they go all in this season? They finished one game short of the Big 12 championship game in 2024. Now, of course, there were multiple teams that were all within one game. There were, 1,000 different iterations of what that championship game could have been based on that last weekend. So in 2024, they were right there. I mean, they were really, really close. If their quarterback had not gotten hurt, obviously there could have been they could have been in that title game. They identified key weaknesses, right? Offensive line, defensive line, secondary, which are honestly weaknesses across the country, and they attacked them in the portal. Their biggest booster, Cody Campbell, he just sold his oil business for over $4 billion. You can do more research. It may not be exactly an oil business, but it's oil money, right? $4 billion. So he and the GM, James Blanchard, they pushed for an all-in approach for this season. Is it the best in Big 12 history? Potentially, right? I mentioned 17 new players, 7 of ESPN's top 75 transfer rankings. They had major wins at key positions, right? You got Miami, Ohio's offensive tackle Will Jados, Illinois State offensive tackle Hunter Zambrano, Marshall edge Mike Green. He led the FBS with 17 sacks in 2024. And then at defensive back, you got North Dakota State safety Cole Wisniewski, who was injured for part of the year. He was an All-American. He was an All-American at FCS. At running back, you got USC's Quinten Joyner, who returned home to Texas. Defensive tackle, they got UCF's Lee Hunter, who was their top defensive target. And their biggest flex was that they landed multiple million-dollar players, right? You got Howard Sampson, who was a North Carolina offensive tackle. I mentioned Lee Hunter, the UCF defensive tackle, and Romello Height, Georgia Tech edge defender. So an edge rusher, and they needed that. It shocked everybody, I think, with how well Texas Tech was able to do in the portal, to the point that Notre Dame even tried to poach James Blanchard, the general manager. Tech gave him a new deal, 3 years, $1.5 million to stay with the Red Raiders through 2027. In August of 2024, he received a 2-year, $800,000 deal. So they ponied up the money to keep him around. He wanted to be down there. But they went in with a very aggressive strategy. He said, get him on campus and don't let him leave without committing, which means you got to spend money. You got to do stuff like that. So a good example of that, Miami, Ohio's wide receiver Reggie Virgil. He had visits lined up at Oklahoma, Florida, and Florida State. He was offered up to $900,000 and some luxury cars elsewhere, but he committed to Tech anyway. The secret weapon here was Texas Tech's $240 million facilities investment. $242 million Womble Football Center absolutely blew these recruits away. State-of-the-art training, recovery rooms, all of these things rival top SEC programs. And Cody Campbell, the booster I mentioned, he said this. He said, people just think Lubbock is tumbleweeds until they visit. And it's true. They've got great facilities there. They have really gone in on football. The new reality is this. Portal recruiting is, I think, better than traditional high school recruiting. More teams have an opportunity to get proven talent, proven experience. In Texas Tech, they pre-scouted hundreds of players with NFL grades to target early. They identified these sleepers before the portal opened, such as the offensive lineman Zambrano, the defensive back Wisniewski. They already knew that they wanted them. Blanchard said this. He said 85% of scouting was a waste of time, but that 15%, he said, we dominated it. And he's right. He's absolutely right. So the expectations for 2025, can Texas Tech win the Big 12? They get 13 starters back. They've got 15 more coming in with starting experience. You added 215 career starts and over 16,000 career snaps via transfers. Hired a new defensive coordinator, Shill Wood. He was $1.2 million. He was at Army, Troy, Tulane, and Houston prior to this. So he's only stayed at these places for a short time, but he is certainly making good money. I would imagine he'll stay in Lubbock for a while. The offensive coordinator, Mark Leftwich, $1 million. He was at Incarnate Word, and then he was at Texas State. And what he did with that Texas State offense, obviously some of that is G.J. Kinney, but he knows the G.J. Kinney offense. So if Kinney isn't going anywhere for a while, get the next best thing. Cody Campbell did say, we have the most talented roster in the conference. It's not even close. I think he's probably right here. I think he's right. The head coach, Joey McGuire, he came back in. He said, I came here to win championships. We're getting one. It's very aggressive talk. Very aggressive talk for a coach like, but he has been very successful in his first 3 years. I will certainly say that. Tickets to everything are expensive these days. And I know you're like me. You want to catch a big game or a concert, maybe even tickets to a show. Why not save some money every time you buy tickets? Visit Ticketsmarter.com or use the TicketSmarter mobile app and use the promo code WCE10, that's WCE10, to save $10 on any order of $100 or more, or use WCE20, that's WCE20, to save $20 on an order of $300 or more. It's not a one-time sign-up bonus or anything. Seriously, every time you buy tickets, you can save money on already great deals. So do yourself a favor. Think smarter with TicketSmarter. Let's talk about the final takeaways from this. The Red Raiders spent big, over $10 million. They built a roster that is certainly capable of winning a Big 12 title. You're going to need certain things to happen, right? You'll need the quarterback to stay healthy. You'll need all of these guys that came in to stay healthy, but you certainly do have depth at these positions now. They landed the number 2 portal class in the entire country, which absolutely shocked everybody. They've got the roster, but obviously new coaches, etc. Kim McGuire and his new staff put all of this together. I am interested. It's kind of a win now mentality. What are they going to do if McGuire and these coaches can't win this season? That's the question. Some of these guys that they brought in can stay for a couple of years. Most of them, it's a one-year deal. So is it the start of a tech powerhouse, or is it an experiment that could backfire? So you guys tell me. I'm very curious to hear from you. Is Texas Tech the next Big 12 powerhouse, or is this just a high-priced gamble? You guys tell me what you think in the comments. I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on this. I think Texas Tech could be really, really good. If you look at what their schedule is, and let's go ahead and pull that up right now. Texas Tech, Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Kent State, Oregon State, and then you go at Utah in Week 4. Let's say they start out 3-0. We'll do a half game for Utah. So 3.5. At Houston, probably should win that one. So 4.5. And then you play Kansas. We'll say 5. So we'll give them a half on that. At Arizona State, maybe we'll call that one a loss. Oklahoma State at home. At Kansas State, BYU, UCF, at West Virginia. I mean, you're looking at West Virginia is tough. At Kansas State is tough. At Arizona State is tough. You could probably get at Utah is going to be tough. At Houston, they've got a road schedule that's pretty difficult. And then you got BYU, UCF, Oklahoma State, and Kansas at home. This is rough. This is certainly rough. 5 road games. I'm curious to see what you guys think. I'm probably, at best, I'm going to say that they've got only 3 losses in conference. Maybe they can do 2. You guys tell me. I'm curious. I think this is going to work well. I don't think they're going to be dominant by any stretch of the imagination. Tell me what you think. I'm curious. Thanks for listening to Winning Cures Everything. Make sure and follow me on Twitter @GaryWCE. If you want to toss in a question, you can email me Gary@winningcureseverything.com. Make sure and hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.